Our top story today, of course, is the early September heat wave that is gripping the central and eastern parts of the country. Now, a number of cities such as Duluth, Minnesota, Baltimore, Philadelphia, Caribou, Maine, set daily records over the Labor Day weekend.
Now, an area from Minnesota to northern Oklahoma will get relief later today as a cold front passes through, causing temperatures to drop, but it's also going to bring some scattered severe thunderstorms. Now, that front is going to bring some heavy rain, hail, and localized damaging wind gusts as a result. So we're going to track those storms with you today on AccuWeather Early. We'll take you live to Duluth, Minnesota as we start this top story.
Yeah, it is a warm start to the morning across the Midwest. In fact, kind of pinch yourself here and remind you that you were in early September because it feels like early August. 78 already in Minneapolis, 71 in Green Bay, 78 in Chicago, Kansas City, 77. Widespread 70s, some 50s across Rapid City and Scottsbluff behind our frontal boundary. That'll be coming east over the next couple of days. And not only is it warm, it is humid. Look at our dew point temperatures, well in the 60s, near 70 in Chicago, 68 all the way up to Green Bay, Wisconsin, 64 in Minneapolis. There's that drier air from Rapid City towards Scottsbluff. And that is associated with a little piece of energy in the upper atmosphere and a cold front. You can see that spin right in here, south and west of Bismarck. That's our upper level feature. Now, what's that going to do? That's going to come eastward. Out ahead of it, you do have this little plume of moisture. Look at the blue on the right, pointing toward Minneapolis, Minnesota, and up into Wisconsin. This is our moisture plume coming northward out ahead of that upper level feature. And as that comes east, we have the heating, we have the moisture, we have the energy. There's going to be some strong showers and thunderstorms. Already are this morning. There they are around Bismarck. That line of thunderstorms now pressing just north of Fargo. There'll be some gusty winds with this. It is sub-severe, but still some rough weather here this morning in western Minnesota toward the Fargo area. Some thunderstorms also around Omaha this morning. All right, out ahead of that front, you already see the clear skies heating up. Watch how the thunderstorms pop up as we head toward early afternoon. There they go. Mostly rain back across Bismarck, but once you get toward, let's say, Minneapolis, toward St. Cloud, here come the thunderstorms. They'll be nasty. They are isolated, though. You can see that across western parts of Wisconsin, eastern Minnesota. It's not a solid area of rain, but isolated thunderstorms. But boy, they'll have some downpours, gusty winds. Can't rule out an isolated tornado as we go through the afternoon and evening. They'll tend to weaken a little bit overnight, but boy, some solid rain in the central and eastern upper peninsula of Michigan. So an elongated area of some risk today, but we are highlighting that area around Minneapolis and Rochester where you're going to have some not only damaging wind gusts, there could be some hail, and certainly there can be an isolated tornado or two. And the other story is this, the heat, Christina. There we go. Widespread 90s. Notice that 71 in Fargo. Here comes the cooler air.
Yeah, I'm about to follow that cooler air and severe weather, too. We're just going to track everything to the east. Do you like my sound effect?
I did. It was like a closing door.
Yeah. Well, we're going to close the door on the extreme heat. See what I did there?
Yeah.
That's not going to be so bad as we move later this week. But let's start with the here and now here. We're going to get into the severe weather as we move into Wednesday. It's the same front Bernie was just tracking. It just keeps cruising to the east. I love to say it, folks. Storms don't stop at state lines, and this is no exception. You'll notice cities like Indianapolis, Cincinnati, Nashville, Memphis, all the way to Jackson, Mississippi are going to be dealing with some spotty severe weather as we move through your Wednesday. We're looking at localized flash flooding, damaging gusty winds as we move through the day here. We'll follow the storms on future radar, and you'll notice into the afternoon, that's when they really get going. Not a surprise. You can see our line here moving across southern Michigan and into Indiana, and then this complex of storms moving through the mid-south. I think both of those in the morning could start to bulk up a little bit into the afternoon. That's when we bring that severe weather threat back into the picture. You will notice, look at this. You can see how this is bowed, this segment right here. That's a classic sign of damaging gusty winds. We call it a bow echo. Looks like an archer's bow, right? Well, this means if you live in areas like Nashville, even out toward Knoxville, I would make sure you're staying tuned to the forecast, have the AccuWeather app on your phone, as it could be a little rough and tumble through your Wednesday. We see the storms continue to press to the east. We'll see a few late evening storms into parts of the Ohio Valley, but these don't pack nearly as much of a punch. They'll be just more of a nuisance when it comes down to it. Now, after the front, sigh of relief. It's going to be great. We've got nice, cool air coming out of the north. That's going to drop temperatures like a rock. Look at Chicago. This might be my favorite example of the week. We go from 87 degrees on Wednesday to 71 degrees in the Windy City on Thursday. And we'll keep the 70s around all the way through the end of the weekend. But in case Chicago's not enough for you, let's take you out and show you the view of the cities the next 3 days from Minneapolis to Pittsburgh. And you'll notice that trend even in Pittsburgh from the 90s to the 80s to the 70s. Chicago more of the same, and even Indy in the low 70s by the end of this week.